top stories, Ethiopia's education system undergoes major reforms as exit and graduate admission exams boost quality and development. And Ethiopia, Czech Republic signed landmark agreement to establish first children's museum in Addis Ababa. Hello and welcome to EBC with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in the early hours of this morning held discussions with Colombia's Vice President Francia Elena Marquez Mina on a wide range of bilateral issues. I received Vice President of Colombia this morning for discussions on a wide range of bilateral issues the Prime Minister shared on social media pages. The Vice President has been in Addis for an official working visit. During her stay, the Vice President is expected to hold discussions with senior government officials. Ethiopia and Czech Republic have signed an agreement to establish the first ever children's museum in Addis Ababa. Ethiopia's Tourism Minister Selamawit Kasa signed the agreement today in Prague with officials from the Czech National Museum and the Czech Development Agency. During the signing ceremony, Minister Selamawit expressed that the museum will not only provide children with accessible knowledge about their nation's history and culture, but will also foster their creative, educational and intellectual growth. She also extended her gratitude to the Czech government for its financial and technical assistance in the establishment of the museum. It was highlighted that this permanent children's museum initiative will aid children in understanding Ethiopia's tourism resources as they mature, empowering them to make meaningful contributions to the sector's development. The fossil remains of Lucy and Selam are now on display in Prague, the capital city of the Czech Republic, in the presence of Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala. It is to be recalled that these exceptionally significant human fossils, discovered in Ethiopia and confirmed as the oldest in the realm of human evolution studies, traveled to Prague on August 15, 2025. The official opening of the exhibition was attended by Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala and Ethiopia's Minister of Tourism Selamawit Kasa. In her speech, Tourism Minister Selamawit stated that the presence of the Lucy and Selam fossils in the Czech Republic is an invaluable opportunity, especially for historians and researchers. The minister concluded her speech by inviting people to come and visit Ethiopia. Czech Republic Prime Minister Petr Fiala remarked that his country had prepared extensively to host this exhibition, which highlights the origin of humankind. Director of the Czech National Museum, Michal Lukas, said that this exhibition will significantly contribute to the relationship between Ethiopia and the Czech Republic. He also thanked Ethiopia for providing this invaluable opportunity.
Starten wir jedoch direkt hier in der Hauptstadt und geben euch einen Einblick in das Leben in Addis Abeba. Willkommen in Äthiopien.
The Holy Trinity Cathedral Church is the oldest church in Addis Ababa.
The Addis Ababa Light Rail Transit System, the first of its kind in the sub-Saharan Africa, provides
dry, cracked desert land. Even though the land is like super barren, it's still beautiful. It's a long, lengthy journey in between each site, but there is a lot of different kinds of beauty. The volcanic rock, to the desert, to the dry, cracked ground.
ፈገግታ ምሳሌ በጦምቦራ ህብር ሳቴውን ለኩሰን
ያሆዴ ኦ ያሆ እያለች
ኢትዮጵያ ያርዳ ባህር
ያሰብሽው ሳይደርስ ጓዳሽ ሳይለማ ያደጋ ዜና ከኢትዮጵያ ማዘን ፍቅሬ እንደጠበል ሲፈልቅ ያለም ስድር ያየበል ያሰብሽው ሳይደርስ ጓዳሽ ሳይለማ ያደጋ ዜና ይስማ ከኢትዮጵያ ማዘን ፍቅሬ እንደጠበል.
Welcome back. Addis Ababa, the diplomatic heart of Africa, is undergoing a massive facelift. From wide roads and green corridors to revitalized riversides, the capital is redefining itself as a modern and livable African city. Ethiopia's capital is not only home to the African Union, but also a symbol of Pan-African unity. Today, Addis Ababa is transforming through ambitious development projects designed to improve daily life and attract global attention. Shifara Ulago takes it from here.
A city of renown, Addis Ababa, is counted among Africa's great metropolises. This historic city, nearly a century and a half old, is a living museum of more than 80 nations and nationalities woven together in a rich tapestry of diverse cultures. For many, the name Addis Ababa evokes visions of Ethiopia's vibrant capital, defined by its high-altitude atmosphere and a distinctive blend of tradition and modernity. Yet, for diplomats, policymakers, and Pan-Africanists worldwide, Addis Ababa represents something far deeper. It stands as the unique diplomatic hub of Africa. The significance of Addis Ababa lies in a history that sets it apart from most other African capitals. Unlike many cities on the continent, Addis Ababa was not founded by colonial powers. It was established in 1886 by Emperor Menelik II, who selected the site for its fertile land and hot springs. A decade later, Ethiopia became the only African nation to successfully repel a European colonial invasion at the Battle of Adwa. This historic victory cemented Ethiopia's place as a symbol of African independence and resistance. This legacy of sovereignty and self-determination became the foundation of the Pan-African movement. Leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Julius Nyerere of Tanzania looked to Ethiopia as a beacon of hope and a safe haven for nationalists fighting for their own liberation. When the time came to establish a unified continental body, there was only one logical choice for its headquarters. In 1963, Addis Ababa hosted the historic summit that gave birth to the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the forerunner of today's African Union, AU. Since then, the city has remained the permanent seat of the AU, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, and numerous other international organizations alongside more than 120 embassies. This concentration of diplomatic power is unrivaled on the continent, making Addis Ababa a vital center for dialogue, negotiation, and cooperation. For the past 7 years, the government has been undertaking ambitious projects to give Addis Ababa a look befitting its international stature. Chief among them is the large-scale corridor development project, which is redefining what it means to be a livable, modern, and beautiful African capital. Together with the Riverside Revitalization Initiative, these efforts are transforming the city into a model of urban innovative and a rising star in African tourism. These initiatives go beyond upgrading infrastructure. They mark a fundamental shift in urban planning. Phased improvements include wider roads, dedicated bicycle lanes, and spacious pedestrian walkways. The focus on non-motorized transport is crucial in a city where many residents walk, and it aims to reduce congestion and improve air quality. The corridor development project alone spans over 240 kilometers with 48 kilometers of newly asphalted roads, 96 kilometers of pedestrian walkways, and 100 kilometers of dedicated bicycle lanes. It has also introduced 48 new bus and taxi terminals to streamline transportation. These have given rise to modern parks, libraries, training centers, and improved housing for low-income residents.
Ethiopia has introduced major reforms in its educational assessment systems, including exit and graduate admission exams, to boost education quality and development, according to Ushatu Kabede, Director General of the Ethiopian Educational Assessment and Examination Service. Speaking to EBC World during the 41st annual conference of the Association for Educational Assessment in Africa held in Addis Ababa, Ushatu highlighted the country's commitment to quality assurance. Meanwhile, Onesmus Osiege, CEO of Uganda's Vocational and Technical Assessment Board, emphasized the importance of the gathering in addressing assessment challenges and developing a unified continental framework under the African Union. Shagao Yamato reports.
The 41st annual conference of the Association for Educational Assessment in Africa is being held in Addis Ababa. Hosted by the Ethiopian Educational Assessment and Examination Service, the conference aims to provide a platform for educators, policy makers, and assessment professionals to engage in meaningful discussions and share best practices in educational assessment. Talking to EBC World, Director General of the Ethiopian Educational Assessment and Examination Service and Deputy President of the Association for Educational Assessment in Africa, Ushatu Kabede, indicated that in the past few years, Ethiopia has undergone significant reforms in the education sector, citing the well-managed and administered exit and entrance exams in enhancing quality education. He also added that due to the government's commitment in revolutionizing the education system, the association gave Ethiopia the opportunity to host the conference.
In this reform, the government commitment and the public feedback in order to support the way government is marching in order to assure confidentiality, credibility or the relevance of the assessment system by itself, and to get the concrete feedback or data from that to be utilized for the sake of policy making, for the sake of decision making, for the sake of guidance, to ensure accountability and responsibility at every level. These are the package what I am saying. After reviewing all these dedications, commitments, and actions from Ethiopia's side, the executive committee of the association give the honor to Ethiopia to host the conference, the 41st one in Addis Ababa.
CEO of the Ugandan Vocational and Technical Assessment Board, Onesmus Osiege, for his part underscored the critical role of the conference in sharing best practices and coming up with continental common assessment framework that makes learners meet the demands of the market.
We are dealing with the most critical part of our population in Africa, which is the youth. And sharing such experiences of assessments, how to assess our youth, our children, so that along the way they meet the job demands of the world, of the globe. So it is very significant that all of us will come together with different backgrounds from different countries, and we discuss what goes on in different countries. But we come out with, like now you have seen the assessment framework, which has been signed today. And that one is going to go along the way to guide all of us as Africans.
The CEO also noted that after a serious discussion, the participants will agree on a common continental assessment framework which will be helpful for the mobility of learners and workers.
The framework launched today has significance in that it is going to be a guiding document for individual countries, but also working together. So all our developments in assessments will be anchored on this document so that at the end of it all there is some uniformity. We meet the basics in our different countries. Therefore it is very, very critical, as you saw the Deputy Prime Minister launching it, and all of us we are happy that we have launched this one to cover the whole continent. You are trained and assessed from in different countries, but on the basic standard, which is common to all of us. Therefore, it will promote that one automatically, the mobility of our students and the mobility of our workers. People are aware that whether you are trained in Ghana or you are trained in Uganda, but these are the basic standards that you meet.
The conference will see 124 research paper presentations in the 5-day-long stay to come up with robust assessment framework which integrates evolving assessment practices to foster inclusive, equitable and quality education in Africa.
Addis Ababa, often dubbed Africa's political capital, hosted the first ever China-Africa seminar on human rights over the weekend. Speaking to EBC World's weekly program, Addis Dialogue, Professor Liu Hongwu, Director General of the Institute of African Studies at Zhejiang Normal University, emphasized the long-standing cooperation between Africa and China on human rights issues. Cooperation, he said, could serve as a model for other nations. Tagasar Nisa has the details.
Africa-China cooperation is said to be an effective pathway for both sides to realize the right to development, a fundamental human right according to the consensus reached between representatives from China in more than 40 African countries at the first Africa-China Human Rights Seminar. Approached by EBC World's weekly Addis Dialogue, Director General of the Institute of African Studies, Zhejiang Normal University, Professor Li Hongwu, has stressed that Africa and China have a long history of dealing with issues of human rights that can be exemplary to other nations.
We have especially our own civilization. So we have our human rights and state and social rights. And also China is also maybe the most largest country and long history in civilization in the world. So China and Ethiopia and Africa, no problem. Actually, we have the human rights, the history, because human rights not the origin from the outside, by all our people work together, and we are struggle for the human rights.
With regard to hosting the event in Addis, the director highlights that since Ethiopia and China have had their all-weather partnerships, this event stands a testament to it.
You know, because Ethiopia not only one African country. Here we always call the Ethiopia Addis Ababa is African diplomatic capital, because African Union take here. Yes. So about 18 years ago, we had come here. We published the President Xi Jinping's book Against the Poverty. So today we come here because we have a very strong cooperation there, such as the Ethiopia Political Politicians Institute, and we also the Addis Ababa University Corporation, and many scholars from your country visit our university, and the think tank, China and African think tank, follow many the scholars from your country. So we have the basic the level the cooperation. So today we come here.
He went on saying that Africa-China cooperation has been strengthened over the years on the basis of mutual respect.
Because we always see China and Africa, we are learning each other. Some we are from the, some say China is the best, so Africa learn. And also some say Africa country the best should be China scholar come here to study. And today we always say China and Africa cooperation maybe in today's international model. Model is international cooperation, equal cooperation, and win-win benefit and cooperation. So Western countries, as America and European, should be learn China and Africa cooperation because we always equal see each other. We're not only your teacher, my student. No, we are always cooperation, equal learning each other.
More than 200 officials, diplomats, scholars, and business representatives from China and Africa also agreed that the right to development is an inalienable human right and serves as prerequisite to realize other human rights at the seminar held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Friday. They called for respecting the diversity of human rights and opposing the politicization of the issue.
And finally, in sports, Carlos Thornton, a former professional American football player and founder of Tasty Ballers Sports Club and the Coach Carlos Pro Camp Youth Development Initiative, stated that Ethiopia holds vast untapped potential in sports like basketball. Emphasizing the importance of grassroots efforts, Thornton called on communities to actively support young athletes in achieving their dreams despite ongoing developmental challenges. Jerusalem Betzaha has the details.
Carlos Thornton, who has spent the past 20 years in providing basketball trainings for youth across Ethiopia, America and other countries, said that Ethiopia has immense potential to develop its youth to become competitive basketball players. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, Thornton, who transitioned from a successful football career in the US to basketball in Israel, emphasized the importance of providing trainings to youth between 7 to 21 years old. He believes that Ethiopian youth possess immense potential in sports like basketball, but many have not received the necessary support and training to thrive.
Ethiopia has great athletes, great potential. The kids have so much potential, but nobody has taken time to groom them, to develop them, to focus on them, because they are the next generation. Most of these kids can play on the international level. Most of them have the ability to play against South Sudan, which went to the Olympics this year and lost by 1 point to the Americans. We also can do the same thing here in Ethiopia. I believe that we have the talent. We have a well-groomed, we're from Tigray region, we have the short guys, but they're fast and they're smart and they move the ball. In Oromo, we have the tall, lanky runners that run all day. In Amara, we have the giants, Manama, Rejimso, and then in other aspects, we have so many ethnic groups that can make up a great international team that can compete on the international level.
According to him, many youths in Ethiopia lack opportunities, with parents often prioritizing their children's career with traditional paths in fields like medicine and engineering over sports.
The parents are like, go get education, because that's the only way that the parents see education, become a doctor, become an engineer, become an architect. But every kid is not born to be an architect or engineer. Kids are born with gifts from God. Some kids are born to be basketball players, football players, doctor, lawyer. So if that kid is a football player and you only give him the doctor way to be a doctor, then you're basically excluding him from the, the chance to be a professional. And what we're seeing now, what we're doing now is allowing these kids the opportunity to have hope.
Moreover, he underlined the critical role of community involvement, urging Ethiopians to support the youth in achieving their aspirations.
I believe Ethiopia can be successful on anything. Ethiopians are so brilliant, they're so smart, they're so athletic. The only problem why we're not at the top of the food chain and everything is because we just hadn't put in the time on it. We just hadn't committed ourselves and designated somebody to be responsible for that. And then the people themselves in the community, they haven't stepped up.
Finally, he expressed his optimism about Ethiopia's future in basketball, taking the view that with increased support and unity, the nation can foster a new generation of outstanding athletes in this regard.
You're watching ABC News, a reminder of the top stories. Ethiopia's education system undergoes major reforms as exit and graduate admission exams boost quality and development. And Ethiopia, Czech Republic sign landmark agreement to establish first children's museum in Addis Ababa. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Many thanks for watching. Goodbye and do take care.